guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called The Channel Tunnel, Building the World's Longest Undersea Link. So if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the one that goes from the UK to France, but maybe I'm wrong. But let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
30 years ago, one of the greatest engineering marvels of the 20th century was completed against all the odds. The $15 billion undersea megatunnel connected two of the world's most important cities. It drew in 1,300 workers, stretched for 50 kilometers under the sea.
I would have thought there would be more workers. Like, this seems like a low amount for the amount of work that they need to do.
Took 6 years of construction and was centuries in the making.
Centuries.
The monumental project almost broke two countries, and many feared it would never be finished.
Okay.
This is the making of the Channel Tunnel, the seventh wonder of the modern world. Today, the Channel Tunnel is a piece of critical infrastructure that many of us take for granted.
I wouldn't.
To get from London to Paris, all you have to do is head to St Pancras station, jump on the train, and you'll be in the heart of Paris in 2 hours.
That's crazy.
That is, if everything's running smoothly. Despite strikes and recent flooding, the tunnel has served as a trusty link between the UK and France for decades. And it's not just Paris either. The Channel Tunnel links London to Europe's massive rail network.
Yeah.
It's made freight travel a breeze too. Moving goods from the UK to Europe has never been easier, but things weren't always this breezy. Before the tunnel was built, crossing from London to Europe meant navigating the choppy and famously unpredictable weather of the English Channel.
Is that in Dover?
Before the tunnel, it took around 6 or 7 hours by rail and then ferry to get from London to Paris. Now, the journey takes a third of the time, and more than 20 million people use the tunnel every year.
That's
more
a lot
than the combined population of London and Paris.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's also a big moneymaker for the company that operates it. Getlink recently hit all-time revenue highs, pulling in 1.4 billion euros in the first 9 months of 2023.
They need to do well because they need to recover that huge investment.
And given the company's private financing, many are wondering where those profits are going now. Deloitte's annual Art and Finance report found nearly 70% of high-powered wealth managers said their clients considered fine art collecting to diversify their assets.
Okay.
But there's still good news for those of us whose parents don't own transit giants.
Yes.
Because the public now has a back door into the fine art market and all of its investment potential thanks to our sponsors at Masterworks. They've opened the door for the rest of us, selling over $49 million worth of art and returning the net proceeds right to investors. Because this unique luxury has never been as accessible as it is now. Those lucky investors weren't corporate elite, they didn't have art market connections. And with Masterworks, they didn't need them. They've sold 20 paintings, 12 of those since we partnered with them, and each of them successfully delivered a profit to investors. Over 888,000 people have already joined the platform, and the B1M's viewers have been getting priority access for over a year now by using our special affiliate link down there in the video description. Now, let's get back to how this historic piece of infrastructure was built. The Channel Tunnel, or Chunnel as it's affectionately referred to, first opened in 1994 after 6 long years of construction. At the time, it was the longest undersea tunnel in the world, and to this day remains the only physical link between London and Europe. The Channel Tunnel is in fact made up of 2 main tunnels running parallel to each other, and a third smaller service tunnel, 4.8 metres wide between them, that's used for ventilation and to provide access.
Okay, yeah.
The 2 main tunnels are each 7.6 metres in diameter and spaced 30 metres apart. Both are high enough to comfortably hold a double-decker bus. Every 250 metres are small ducts between the main tunnels. They help dissipate the air pressure in front of the train to relieve aerodynamic drag and help it move faster. The total length of the tunnel route is 50 kilometres, of which 38 kilometres is located under the sea floor.
That's crazy.
The tunnels aren't actually straight lines, but curve up and down and left to right, so they can stay within the layer of chalk at the bottom of the channel. At its deepest point, the tunnel is 75 metres below sea level.
Oh my god, okay.
At its opening in 1994, the American Society of Civil Engineers named the Channel Tunnel one of the 7 wonders of the modern world.
Yeah, I can see why.
When you look at the scale of it, it's not hard to see why. No other underwater tunnel had come close to achieving what this one had accomplished. There had always been a desire to connect the British Isles with Europe. No matter how much the UK may think and sometimes vote against it, Great Britain is intrinsically linked to the continent both economically and socially through trade and the movement of people. As early as 1802, there were plans for a tunnel, although back then they only wanted one big enough for horse-drawn carriages to travel through.
That's so
Some
quaint.
Brits thought this was just a ploy by the French to launch an invasion, and the idea wasn't so popular.
Okay.
In the late 1950s and early 60s, a series of bridge and tunnel ideas were put forward, and in 1974, British construction workers actually
They look like very futuristic for like 1960.
started digging their way to France. But just a year later, the UK government called the project off.
Why?
This is the grave of the biggest engineering project ever attempted in Europe.
That's
It
incredibly
wasn't
sad.
until the 1980s that French President Francois Mitterrand and British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher began making plans to build what we now know as the Channel Tunnel. With record unemployment, key industries collapsing and massive civil unrest, the early
because of
80s
the
were a
Troubles?
turbulent time in the UK, and neither the British or French governments had the funds to build this daunting megaproject.
Okay, so
it would have to be privately funded.
Okay, that explains it.
Instead of a series of suspension bridges or causeways, the two governments opted for the plan put forward by the Balfour Beatty Construction Company, which was later taken on by a consortium called the Transmanche Link. The plan was to build 2 tunnels at a cost of $3.5 billion. In the end, it ballooned to more than $15 billion in today's money,
Yeah.
and some reports say it was upwards of $21
Oh my
billion.
god, that's so expensive.
Construction works began in 1988. First, the engineering and design teams had to figure out exactly where the tunnels could
Yes.
be dug, and the geology of the seabed was carefully examined.
There should be
At the bottom of the
job.
English Channel is a thick layer of chalk, but below that is a layer of chalk marl which is easier to bore through. The service tunnel was the first to be excavated so that engineers could see what the ground conditions were like before the main tunnels were then constructed. The tunnel
I really do not understand how they're doing this, like if it's underwater.
boring machines got to work in 1988. 5 TBMs dug from France, while 6 TBMs dug from the UK. Cast iron
Huge
segments
equipment.
bolted together and precast concrete rings were used to line the tunnels after the TBMs had dug through them. An enormous amount of chalk was excavated throughout this process
to do
and
with that?
transported back through the tunnel using conveyor belts. On the British side, engineers used the chalk to build a platform at the foot of Shakespeare Cliffs near Dover.
Oh my god.
One of the most difficult tasks on the Channel Tunnel projects was making sure that both the British side and the French side actually met up in the middle. Special lasers
Okay.
and survey equipment were used, but on such a large project, no one was 100% certain that the technique was going to work.
That's a crazy thing.
By 1990, the two sides of the tunnel were due to meet up. It came at a point in construction where many feared the project might never be completed.
The
It was
skeptics.
plagued by severe cost, schedule and safety problems.
That would be crazy.
But in December, the two sides of the service tunnel finally came together. The
Aww.
technique had worked. 2 workers, 1 British and 1 French, shook hands through the opening. For the
I love
first
it.
time in modern history, you could walk from Britain to France.
They look so happy. I would
Then
have
in
been as well.
1991, the 2 main tunnels were connected and things kicked up a gear. Crossover tunnels, land tunnels from the coast to the terminals, piston relief ducts, electrical systems, fireproof doors, the
God.
ventilation system, the train tracks, all had to be added. Finally, by the 10th of December 1993, the first test run was completed through the entire Channel Tunnel. And on the 6th of May 1994, the route officially opened.
Another 6 months, okay.
30 years later, more than 20 million people use this incredible piece of infrastructure every year.
Have they remodeled?
And those 3 tunnels have connected an entire continent. It goes to show once again the remarkable power of construction.
Yes.
This video was sponsored by Masterworks. You can learn more and skip their waitlist at the link in the description. Don't forget that we're inspiring the next generation of builders through our investment into Brickborrow, a fantastic LEGO subscription service. You can learn more and get started today over at brickborrow.com. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, from the channel that connects you to some of the best infrastructure in the world, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M.
Okay, yeah, this was an incredible video. I like when it comes to like big pieces of like this wonders of engineering. I don't know if it's because I'm not an engineer. I do not know anything about construction. I don't know anything about this. So to me it looks like magic. I know it's not magic. It's just like, but it looks like such a hard thing for me to like, I don't know, grasp my mind around this, because again, I don't really know anything. So it's like, wow, I don't really understand like how they were able to like do this, because I don't know, I think it's just like crazy situation for me. I love the fact that they were like, no, we have to meet in the middle, which is like, okay, I get like this, it's symbolic, but I understand as well that it's gotta be like it's already a very hard project. So it's like around let's say it's like around halfway, but who cares if maybe you're a couple of meters of kilometers off. I you know, like who cares? But it's like, no, we have to like be right in the middle. I think it's really funny. They look so happy, but I think like the whole sort of like concept of them building this, I would have thought it took longer, which I know it's crazy for me to say, because obviously I wasn't working there. If I were working there, I would be like, oh my god, the longest 6 years of my life. But I think like, again, it speaks well of like how efficient they were. Because if you had asked me earlier, I would have gone like, I don't know, like maybe it took them like 8 years, maybe 10. But it's like, no, they did it in 6 years, which I think is a quite short amount of time. Yes, I know that probably for them it wasn't, but in the great like, I don't know, the great scale of things, that doesn't seem like a huge amount of time. And same as the workers, like only what, 13,000, it's around like that, around 1,300. I think like it wasn't like that many people. I would expect, oh, I don't know, there were like 5,000 people working on this project. It's like, oh, okay, it was like they were running this incredibly like smoothly, like it was so incredibly efficient. But I don't know, I would have loved to speak to like one of the workers, because it looks like such a scary concept. Like just the ones that were starting to like dig the thing, like especially I think early on, like I don't know, when it comes to like tunnels and especially like underground tunnels, like I have so many questions about the logistics of this. How exactly do they do this? Do they have to like, because they're digging the tunnel, right? But do they need to like cover, I don't know, again, I'm dumb, I have no idea how they actually like, how they're building the underwater part. Because like, okay, so how do you get like the water? You have to like make sure the water doesn't like filter through. How do you do that? It's incredibly deep, so it's like, how, I know I would be so scared of going, so like it's a tunnel and you're like super underground. You're like at what was it, 70 meters, something like that. That's a lot of like for humans. So how exactly does it work? Like, I don't know, I have so many questions. It would be like quite scary. Like humans aren't supposed to like go that deep. But it's like, yeah, obviously if you're in a train or something, yeah, obviously who cares. But I think about like the actual workers that actually had to like build this. It's incredible to me. It's an incredible feat that, again, I have still. They made like such a good job at explaining how the project like worked, but still I have a lot of questions. Like I have so many questions about this, but especially for the workers themselves, because it's like, how do you do it? Like it could be like, obviously they're professionals. It wasn't the first time they were like building something like this and building a tunnel, but I would bet it was the first time they were building something like in this scale. It's gonna be like such a scary process, like I don't know, like everything, like it's gonna be crazy. And how long were they like working? I don't know. It's kind of like, it's like caves. I think like humans are not meant to be like in this like enclosed spaces. I think it's kind of like, again, when you're inside something, a car, a train, something, you don't really get the sense because you're so fucking enclosed, so you're not really seeing it. But seeing the pictures of them, of the actual workers just like standing in this concrete thing, and they were like building it, it's like, oh my god, I really like that, looks so scary. I don't know how you guys are doing this, because it's like, I don't know, I'd be so scared of going in there, because it's like, it's just your body, like you don't have anything surrounding you that actually protects you if anything goes wrong. And come to say this, not that I would also love to know, were there any accidents, because I think in any construction it can happen, especially like construction of like a greater scale. it is quite common for accidents to happen, because again, it's like everyone's being super cautious, but sometimes again it's an accident for a reason. Sometimes that you can't really blame anyone, they just happen. So I would be so interested, I'd be so interested to know, like, if do they have, like, obviously not anything catastrophic, but did they have any accidents at some point in time? Were they delays because of like the logistics? We can't do this. I don't know. Has anyone done like a film about this? Because I think it would make for like a great picture. I think like a great film. Obviously fictionalized and stuff, but I think it would be like a great. I don't know. I think it would make for like a great movie. I don't know. Maybe it already exists, and I don't really know. But I think it was incredible. I think the fact that there was like those two, like, always like there was like friends in England, and they were like, and the UK, not England, the UK, they were like, oh, we have to build this, but it was like a time of like a lot of political unrest, and both of them like didn't really have any money, and so they were like, okay, so why now specifically? It's like there's like everything is very like catastrophic on both our countries. So what makes you think like it would be a great point in time for us to build this? Like that's maybe they were actually approached by the private like companies, that they had the idea and they were like, no, we are able to fund this, and maybe that's why they went ahead and gave them the green light, and it wasn't like on part of the prime minister and the president that they sort of like put it out there, because it's like, okay, so how are you building this if neither of you have any money? It was like, oh no, that we'll figure that part later. No, it's probably the private companies that were like, no, we are willing to take on this project, but please, obviously, we need both of you guys' approval. But also, I'd like to know if there's been, because the whole thing like looked quite modern, like the clip that they showed us, that was like a recent clip. It looked quite modern. So I don't know. Do they have rebuilt this? Because it's not that old. It's what, 19 in the 1990s? It hasn't been that long. So do they have rebuilt this? Obviously there's maintenance because it needs to keep like running properly. And apparently there's been times where it's been closed because it's been flooded, which is like, I can't even imagine how of a scary, like that's the scariest situation I can imagine. The whole thing being flooded and you're like 70, I don't know how many feet underground. It's a very scary thing. So yes, of course it has to have like proper maintenance, which I'm sure obviously they take care of this. But have they been like, do they have like, I don't know, made actual repairs? Has this thing, how is it holding up? Like, is it holding up great? And it's like, no, like little repairs here and there, but not anything like super big. Or on the contrary, maybe no, we have to have like sections that have been completely rebuilt, or maybe modernized, because maybe we have like, again, technology has improved, so maybe like these days we have like better things, better materials, better techniques, I don't know, so maybe we have to get them replaced. So again, I would love to know what kind of work have they done on this ever since it opened, because again, or otherwise, no, it has held up incredibly well. But it's also like, they're all funny. It's real funny to me that they showed us like the whole, they've been trying to like make this happen since like the 1800s, which is like very funny to me, because it's like, how exactly do those people back in the 1800s were thinking about like doing this? It's like, you're seeing the thing, right? You're saying again, it's like it's close but not that close. It's like they wanted to make a bridge with like one horse-drawn carriage. But it's okay, how exactly are you building this? Like, obviously they couldn't have imagined it was going to be, a part of it was going to be underground. Obviously, like in their wildest imaginations for that era, of course not, absolutely not. Everything had to be like an actual bridge. But it's like, okay, even then, how exactly are you building this? I don't know, it seems crazy to me that they were like, good for them to even like putting it out there of like, oh, we have this great idea. But I'm curious to know, okay, so what was the plan back then? Like, what do they actually made a plan? Like, do the engineers of the era, of the time period were like, oh no, we have an idea, we can make this happen? But obviously it fell through because maybe again I would think in money, like it was going to be like very expensive, but maybe it was because the engineers of the time couldn't figure things out. We're like, no, we're giving up, the technology is not there yet, maybe in 100 years, or I don't know, 50 or something else, but no, not right now. which again would love to know, but it's also really funny because of course there were like a lot of wars in that period, so it's like it goes to show like, yeah, a lot of people were probably like, no, they want to invade us, like that's a bad thing, we shouldn't make bridges. It's like, okay, yeah, you make a great point. A lot of wars were happening back in those days, so it is like I also probably would have been scared of like, no, this is a bad idea. We're giving them like easy access to our country, so it's like I understand on behalf of both French and the British. But I do wonder like what's going to be like the next sort of like evolution, the next step. This seems to be working incredibly well, but I don't know, I'm wondering if like maybe in 30 years, like maybe they're going to like actually create like maybe not an underground bridge, although obviously that's all the rage, but maybe they want to do like, I don't know, another type of bridge. I don't know. Like I'm thinking of in the future. Maybe we don't know yet, but I think this is going to be maybe it's going to be replaced by something else. Obviously not in the near future, but I think maybe, I don't know, again, like let's give it 30 or 40 years. Maybe this is going to be replaced for something else. I don't know why, but I'm guessing like there's maybe not workers, but engineers that are still thinking like, you know what? I think I have a good idea how we can improve this. Maybe like make it even less, like it takes you 3 hours, now it's going to take you like 1 hour and a half. I don't know, maybe they're gonna have to like work on this, but I have no doubt that in the next like 30 years, probably 20 years, 30, like this is gonna be better actually. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.